But how do you get a mentor? Well, I know a young lady who I just attended her event in Kano recently, Juliet, and this is the way she reaches out to people who she wants to also be in their circle, like a form of indirect mentorship.
Yeah.
She scouts them online, follows their work, keeps commenting. If they are going to be in a place in person, she goes there, and then she goes to mark attendance, in her words, by saying hello to them when she gets to those events. That puts her in their radar.
Yeah.
Top of the mind, tip of the tongue.
They become familiar with the name and probably face.
Exactly. So, the next time she's coming to, ask them for advice or something, they're much more willing and much more open to speaking with her.
Welcome to Voices with Victoria, the series that unlocks the power of resilience. Join me and industry experts as we explore career development, human capacity, nation building, and entrepreneurship.
Hello everyone, and welcome to another exciting episode of Voices with Victoria. I am your host, Victoria Undu, and today I am so excited to have with me here in the studio. I used to call her superstar. This one is not just for the sake of calling. Indeed, she is a superstar. She's my friend, Mirabelle Morah. So I'm going to read her bio briefly, but before then, since last year, right?
Yeah,
I have been trying to get her on, and she's been so busy with work and school. And then she finally got back and was like, you know what, Victoria? She sent me a message and I was screamed. I'm like, yes, we would finally do this. And so it's such an honor. And, I'm so excited to have you right here with me in the studio today. Just for the sake of officiality, I'm going to be reading your bio briefly, just so that you can have an idea of who she is. So Mirabelle Morah is the founder of BlankPaperz Media. It's a platform dedicated to showcasing the innovative solutions of young Africans. And she started this at just 17 years. When she was 17 years, she grew this platform to over 200 contributing writers and over 100,000 users. Mirabelle is a communication strategist and 2D/3D motion designer. She's passionate about storytelling and digital media's power to drive it. She has also established the BlankPaperz GC Fund, supporting young Nigerians through educational funding and skill development. Previously, she was a communications manager for the Social Enterprise World Forum, and currently she's pursuing a master's in entrepreneurship and innovation at the University of Edinburgh as a MasterCard Foundation scholar. You see, scholar, truly, indeed, she's a scholar. And she's focusing on creative social businesses and the intersection of technology and AI. And there's a whole lot to Mirabelle here. I'm so excited to know her. I think I connected with you online years ago. I really can't remember, but I've had
I remember it very well.
Please, can you share briefly in 10 seconds? Because I like to relive that.
So I met you physically at her Network Woman of the Year event in Lagos.
I remember now. Yes, and you won the award for
Woman of the Future.
Woman of the Future. This was was it 2018? Yes, I remember. And since then, she has been an amazing friend. Been on my platform, Skill Factory Africa, Today's Heroes Network, and now Voices with Victoria. Please, it's such an honor to have you here today. This is just a conversation. And we also like to draw from your wealth of knowledge, because I know that you have a lot to share.
I'm here for it.
Yeah. So first of all, introduction. I've done my own official introduction, but I also like my guests to tell us who they are beyond all of the bios being read and all the things that we've seen you do. Who really is Mirabelle Morah?
Okay, that's well, first of all, thank you so much for having me
You're
on the
welcome.
show. And indeed, you had to pursue me last year to come and do this, even when we lived right next to each other, very close.
You had a lot going on at that time.
So anyway, Mirabelle Morah, who am I? I do enjoy living in the moment and living very creatively as possible. So when it comes to storytelling, communication strategies, Nigeria really makes you become a jack of many trades.
Really, indeed.
Well, for me, it made me become a jack of many trades in the communication space and creative space. So that had me merging design and also merging communication, the strategy together. So I'm someone who loves to live in the present within creative moments and live to the fullest as much as I can. And I'm also doing my master's currently at the University of Edinburgh. I'm studying entrepreneurship and innovation, and I really like the intersection between how, you know, we can use creativity and also go with the business of creativity to help more people within the ecosystem.
Amazing. I was going to ask you, you know, the switch, because I've known you to be more like a social development person, international development, creative. And then when you told me you got admission and you were traveling to do your master's in entrepreneurship, I'm like, Mirabelle, you, as in how, you know, let's hold up on that thought. We'll get to that. But I also like to know your background, because when you won the Woman of the Future at the Her Network Award, it's, you know, a known platform in Nigeria and Africa, large, very recognized. You were very young. Even when you started Blanks Paper, I mean, at 17 years, doing a lot. People just getting out of secondary school. I mean, they're not even sure of their left and right. So I don't know. I would like you to take us back then. Did you have everything all figured out? Or what exactly pushed you to get on that path and, you know, start getting it right? Or as it's where, you know, just take us through that process, really.
I think that I like to wing a lot of things. I wing a lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
And that was me in 2016 or 2017. It's been 8 years back now.
Mm-hmm.
And so I used to be in this fellowship called FECA, Federation of Colleges Ex-Students Christian Association.
Mm-hmm.
That was how my whole leadership journey came. So like they say, your friends make or mar you. And I ended up being with friends who were very conscious about their purpose in life. Who do I want to be? What do I want to be? So me too, I started looking for, who do I want to be? What am I? No, what don't I like? So along that line, I was studying English and literature, literary studies at the University of Calabar. I knew how to write. I was very good at writing fictional, non-fictional work. And I decided one day, you know, I was working for someone who was teaching me digital marketing, and I was using her laptop, my boss's laptop. So one day I decided to just use YouTube, learn how to create a website, start something, and 1 2 1 2 1 2. That's how BlankPaperz became alive. And it was, so I didn't have money to do plenty things. What's that thing they say? Necessity is the mother of invention.
Yeah.
So me, I had to learn how to do my graphic design. I had to learn how to edit my videos. Writing came very naturally to me. So I was good with that as well.
Amazing.
So that's the journey of how I began.
Wow. So again, so it's right to say that your background, you know, and what you're exposed to or who you're exposed to play a very big role in shaping the decisions that you make and, you know, in your becoming process. Absolutely. So again, we're still going to talk about that, but now let's talk about vision, right? You founded BlankPaperz Media at the age of 17, and you've already shared what inspired you to start the platform. But again, I'd like to know, to an extent, what did you see something? Or were you just, let me just start this, anyhow it takes me? Or what exactly? That's what we want to also know. For people who are looking to start something, you know, there's this fear of not knowing the end from the beginning. So what was it? Was it vision? Was it, you know, that made you? Because from then till now, you're still at it, right? And it has even opened up to different areas you didn't even imagine.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Whew, I didn't know the end. I didn't even know the middle. So this is the idea behind BlankPaperz. This was the initial idea. Me, I can write. I'll open this website online for me to publish my stories and for me to bring my classmates and my friends who are writers to publish their things online. That was the very fresh start of it all. Why? So that I could amplify that those stories they had written. So I could let more people. I wanted to be a connector, and I am a connector of people. I love to connect people to resources. So I wanted to be that middle ground where they write, and then I connect them with other people online to read about their work and maybe contact them and see how they can collaborate with them. That was the idea. What pushed me also, I would say, was fear, because I didn't know. I just wanted to experiment on something and just test it out. But I didn't know if it was going to last up to 6 months. But I just did it. And I think that's really the thing. Fear, what's that thing they say? Fear is, I don't remember the acronym again, but is But it's like, it's the thing that keeps you down, the thing that keeps us down a lot. Someone who called it a disease that just keeps us down a lot, and it starts first with us within. So that's why I love to surround myself with friends and people who see things
Push you
positively.
past that.
Exactly. So because I had those people in my life as well, I was able to progress, to a very good extent. So that's how life happens. Things unfurl. Although they say have the big picture from the end, see the end first.
But really,
before
who is God that knows the end?
I know, right? So I didn't really know that, but as I went on, at least this is true for my life. Things began to unfurl. Yes, the more I did things, the more I realized I think I can do better, or I've seen someone doing something like this. Do they have two heads? So that's pretty much the journey of how I've been doing a lot of things in my life.
Just reminds me of the popular quote that clarity is not gotten in a day. Clarity is a journey, and as you keep taking on that journey, more keeps unfolding to you. God keeps showing you a deeper expression than you could have. If you don't take the first step, you probably won't know that you can do 6. Right, until you have taken the first, you move to the second, and then the journey keeps unfolding. Amazing. Talking about people, and I think that you're a woman of solid people around, because you're solid yourself. But I'd also like to ask, how has mentorship played a role on your journey from then and even till now? And what advice do you have for people who are seeking? Because again, I've heard a lot about mentorship. I would like you to do justice to that topic. But aside just telling us your own story, related to people out there, what are the practical strategies that they can also deploy to get real mentor, or to also maximize mentorship relationship on their journey?
Okay. As they say, I am where I am because I stood on the shoulders of other giants. And mentorship is something that's been very, very crucial in my own life. You become like who you see and what you see. There's that tendency that you become like the people around you. So I believe that there's a difference between a mentor and a role model. For me, a role model is someone that I see from afar. I don't have access to them. Less like Chimamanda Adichie. I don't have access to her, but she was someone who acted as a model to my creative writing career. When we speak about mentorship, I believe that that's someone who is much more closer to you. Someone who you can have an interaction with and who can give you feedback, who you can, table your thoughts to, and they tell you this is what you shouldn't do. And also, it's very important that you learn to take feedback as an individual. Because people will tell you, my very first mentor was S2E6 in Calabar. She used to run the After School Center for Career Development. And that was also when I was beginning BlankPaperz. So she would give me feedback and be like, this your logo is not nice. And in my head, I'm like, ooh, my logo is wonderful, please.
Yes.
But it wasn't good. Even now as I look at it, it wasn't good. But when I looked at it then, it was the best thing that came out after sliced bread. Thank you. So, be open to receiving feedback and critique as well. Learn to sift what's not good and learn to sift what's good for yourself. Even in business, there'll be so many people who will tell you, go into this market, do this, do that, do that, do that. Whose advice do you take? Probably your customers, and just know which to take. But in mentorship anyway, how do you reach out to? Mentorship is important because it gives you someone who has been there, done that. And that was what also happened in my life. There were people who I also looked up to like Gracie Hijamaizu. I also have a current mentor right now. Her name is Giselle. So as much as I'm growing, I'm still having people who I am accountable to.
Yes.
And in mentorship, it's a symbiotic relationship, which means me, I give you as a mentor. You too, you also give me something as a mentee. A lot of mentees feel like they don't have anything to offer their mentors. It could be that you can volunteer to do something for them, just very briefly. And people have needs.
Yes.
Even Tinubu, I'm sure, our president has needs where you think he's at the top. But you'll be surprised when you ask your mentor, what can I do for you? And they'll tell you, this is what you can do for me. So a mentor, like you said, entitlement. you should also be proactive when you have a mentor. You know, reach out to them. If they agree to mentor you, reach out to them. Give them things that they can tell them, this is what I'm working on, and then just don't wait for them to reach out to you first, or to always keep asking you how are you, because they're busy people. But how do you get a mentor? Well, I know a young lady who I just attended her event in Kano recently, Juliet, and this is the way she reaches out to people who she wants to also be in their circle, like a form of indirect mentorship.
Yeah.
She scouts them online, follows their work, keeps commenting. If they are going to be in a place in person, she goes there, and then she goes to mark attendance, in her words, by saying hello to them when she gets to those events. That puts her in their radar.
Yeah.
Top of the mind, tip of the tongue.
They become familiar with the name and probably face.
Exactly. So, the next time she's coming to, ask them for advice or something, they're much more willing and much more open to speaking with her,
as opposed to a total stranger.
Exactly. Asking them, can you mentor me? Who are you that I will mentor you, or people would mentor you? So there's a process towards thing, and I think it's a whole topic that we could go on.
Amazing. Thank you so much for sharing that. So again, let's come to who you are. I've been calling you superstar, and the thing is, and that's because of the things that you've been able to do and achieve with yourself, even before you went for your master's. I mean, you've been on almost all the global brands I can think of. I'm not going to name drop, but yeah, go and check her out. I know who Mirabelle Morah is. But again, so let's talk about building a global brand. And you're still building. I mean, this is the list of where you'll be. I mean, in future, there's a whole lot that the future has for you. But for now, you've built an already global standard brand. What do you think are some of the key elements that are essential in building a strong and impactful brand, particularly one that resonates globally?
I think that me on this show right now, Voices with Victoria, it's a very global thing I'm doing right now.
Yeah.
It's a very big
We're
thing.
global.
Me at this moment in my life, right now. It's a big thing that's happening right now, for real. And that's how I like to see every process. It's this moment, I'm appreciative of it. I love it. They say, if you love life, life will love you back.
Oh, wow.
So
I'm just hearing that.
Yeah.
I love your life.
I love your life too. You can say that to money and everything, and wealth and happiness.
Yes.
So it's like, I try to live in the moment of everywhere, and I'm not just looking down at things and be like, this one is not that one. This one is not good.
You appreciate everything.
Thank you.
Big, small, mighty.
Yes, because I feel like everything. How do you get a puddle? It's like small drops of rain over
everything
time.
adds up.
Exactly, it's adding up. So that's me in every moment that I am at. So I didn't even know that I was going to be. So this year I was at the University of Oxford for Score World Forum. That's something that I've always seen, and I'm like, oh, that's so cool. But then I ended up being a fellow this year because someone nominated me because he saw my work.
Wow.
But I never knew, like 2 years ago, or even
that you'll be here.
That I'll be here. And why is that? Is because at every moment of my life, there's this book called The 4 Agreements. I don't remember who wrote it, but if I remember the 4 agreements, it's number 1, be impeccable with your word. That's let your yes be yes and your no be no. Number 2, never take anything personally. Like I said, if anyone gives you feedback, take it or leave it, but don't see it as an attack to you. Number 3, never assume anything. Always ask questions. And number 4, be excellent at every single thing that you do. And I think it's that excellence that has brought me this far. Not doing things by the halves, whether it's for a very small charity event somewhere in Calabar or whether it's somewhere in New York, I'm giving my best at everything. So when you ask me how do I build that global brand, I think that for me it's value. I like to give value, and people smell value from afar. People want to be associated with someone who is valuable. So I like being authentic. I love expressing my passion about things. I like giving value. I like doing things excellently. And also I genuinely have this is because of the field I'm in. I genuinely have an interest in helping people and being resources to people. So once other people see that, they actually do want to connect with me. But I'm very intentional about everything that I'm doing. And if you're trying to build a brand, a way that people recognize you, I think that documenting your work is very important from the start. Whether it's a very small thing you did.
And don't think that it's because it's small, so you shouldn't talk about it, you know.
I'm telling you, like when I got into Yali, so Yali is Young African Leaders Initiative. When I got into Yali, 2017, I was like, so I also had small imposter syndrome. I was like, are you sure it's me that got in here? But here's the thing. In that interview, they said to me, what have you done with BlankPaperz? And BlankPaperz was like just 1 year. 1 year old. And I said, well, I've just been publishing people's stories online, and I've only done 2 book giveaways for people, you know, and that's what I said. And I was so surprised that, like, out of the thousands of applications that came in, this guy selected me.
You're undermining the things that you've done.
Exactly. So whether it's small or big, don't forget to, like, document things online or on Google Drive or anywhere else.
And put it out, because, again, people would not really know what you're doing if you don't tell.
Yeah, build in the open.
Show and tell. Yeah, build in the open.
Yeah.
Of course, there's still wisdom, like you said during the introduction off camera, where you were like, wisdom is profitable to guide. But you know, when you're very intentional about building a global brand, you also need to document and also tell what you're doing. There is no wisdom in winking in the dark. If this place is dark and you're winking, you can wink for all you care. Nobody is seeing you and nobody's catching that signal. And you're complaining that other people you're doing better than are getting all the awards and recognitions and everything. You mentioned imposter syndrome, and I would like to go a bit into that using your own parts. And I know that imposter syndrome, even the best of us, the best of people, somehow on their journey, it still sort of like pops up. But the important thing is how they are able to still not let it keep them down. So tying it up to the conversation that we had briefly before this interview, where you said just try, and you mentioned something like that even if you think you're qualified or not,
shoot your shot.
Just shoot your shot. I think that was the word you used. So let's tie it all up now. How do you deal with imposter syndrome, and what advice do you have for people? Is it the contract, the business relationship, the fellowship applications and everything? What words do you have for them?
Well, as a Christian, one of my favorite Bible verses from 2 Timothy 1:7, if I'm right, is that for God has not given me a spirit of fear, but he has given me the spirit of love, of power, and kindness. So, and a sound mind. So that's something that I always tell myself at all times. And based on some research as well, females usually will not apply for stuff until they're like very sure that like
90%. They tick 90% of the box.
Exactly. So I think what happened when I was just finishing university, 2018, I was trying to find work. I was going online. I was like, God, what skill do I have to use? I beg, I cannot be broke. You know, and I didn't really have a lot of money. So I was applying for very random things. I go on Upwork, I'll be applying. I told someone I applied for maybe over 100 roles, which I'm sure is a lot more. But one thing happened that really boosted me. I still wasn't sure, but when hunger wires you, you will not think too much of imposter syndrome, or you will just be like, please, let's just be going.
Yes.
So I really wanted to have something and cash at hand.
You just said something that is so profound. You know, I think that people are complaining of fear, imposter syndrome, and all the excuses because that thing has not really disturbed. Like, if you're really digging that, if hunger has wired you, and hunger might not even be food, the hunger for that success, the hunger for that thing, if it has really dealt with you,
and a fear of failure, if this makes sense, like a fear of failure can just drive you. Like you're fearing that you are going to fail, or you're being afraid of the fear of failing itself. Like it will drive you to do something. Yeah.
Amazing.
So there was this job I had applied for, and I was just one of the random things, and I applied for it, and I think they were going to pay like $1,000 or $1,500. The the most money I'd ever gotten being paid for was 20K or 30K in my life.
Remember, your eye is so big. So for 20,000 naira, you were targeting 1.5 job.
Because I looked at the description
and it's
of
something
everything.
that you could do.
It's something I felt like I could do.
Mm-hmm.
So I applied for it. It's just one of those things.
Mm.
Do you know, next thing, this guy's invited me for an interview. I was like, hello. You don't say.
So you that even applied, Seth, you were not truly believing that.
No, like I said, the hunger was wearing me. You know, it wasn't really a hunger for food.
Yeah, because
like,
I mean, I was wondering you could easily go back home.
Yeah. But it was more like, I don't want to not have something to do. Like, my parents are no longer going to support me like that. What do I do next? You know? And I was also very active. So it was that interview that inspired me, that said, if I can reach the end of this interview like this, I didn't get the job, so if I can reach the end of this interview and they can consider me for this kind of role, what are you talking about? I will go and find other things and keep applying for. And I think that things start mentally. These people that say, even the Bible that keeps saying, the Bible talks about you believing first and not being like a wavering tree.
It said if you're unstable, a man who is double-minded in his way cannot receive anything from God. You know, when you're here and there.
So even this, you hear people talking about manifestations, and it's a real thing that is also biblical as well. Mm-hmm. And so I began to just think in my head, and I read a book. I think it was by Bob Proctor, where he said, write down how much you want to earn, what you want to do, what you will give back for getting what you are looking for. Read that paper every single day, internalize it, believe it. I did that. I put the paper inside my wallet every day. It's the same thing Pastor Puju also says as well, like with the confession. So Pastor Puju is
the senior pastor, the Covenant Nation.
Exactly. So that's what I was doing, and before you knew it, I just want to say,
you got the job. What more?
Yes. Another job, another role, but also there was some other small gigs in the middle of it, but that manifestation really happened.
Wow. I think this is the part where we have to just take a deep breath. What's that thing that you're really, praying for, wishing for? And again, what I've realized on these things of manifestation and dreaming and wanting things is some people really don't want what they say they want. Have you gotten to that point where you're just saying it, but you really, really, really don't mean it?
Yeah.
And I think that's what stops the manifestation. When you get to the point where you're so hungry for this to know that if you don't get it, something is going to happen. Something bad, like there's a whole lot at stake. I think we need to get to that point where we know that there's something at stake, either the fear of failure. I don't want to disappoint this person. I don't want to disappoint the generations or the life that are attached to me. You just go all out regardless of the environmental forces, regardless. So thank you so much for taking us on this part. And, moving up from the good things. Now let's move to this, because you're a young person and there are pressures. And now this is both of us talking as young people. And for other people, well, if you're old, it's okay. You can still listen. So, there are certain pressures. I always call this the pressure of a young person, especially for somebody like you who's doing so well. I mean, you started at a young age. There are societal expectations, even expectations from yourself, having to want to beat your previous records, wanting to do better. Are there fears or this pressure that comes with being a young person, really, or even not even being a young person, of being a human being who is doing what God has given to you in this season? And how do you deal with this fear? How do you deal with doubts? How do you deal with pressure that comes with every season?
I feel everybody has pressures in life, one way or the other. And as a very young Christian back then, I used to think that because I'd given my life to God. Excuse me if I'm speaking so much of, but I think my faith is a very huge part of my life.
Yes, please continue.
I used to think that because I'd given my life to Christ then, that everything should be rosy. There should be no problem again, no trouble. Yes, seeing through rose-colored glasses, everything is superb. But coming to read more about people's lives, also looking at scriptures, also looking at the life of Jesus, also looking at a lot of people in the past, I just realized that trials and tribulations will come. These temporary afflictions you are seeing now, only temporary. But like God gives us that power and that strength to thrive through a lot of things, especially through the Holy Spirit. So when pressures come, I'm like, can't come and kill me here, but when I remember reading people's past stories and also reading the Bible as well, how David triumphed through a lot of things, I'm like, if these guys feel run this thing,
you can too.
Yeah, I can also run it through God's help as well. But I also recognize my background and where I come from. Like, people's problems are very different in this life. Like, I can say that I could afford to volunteer in school because I didn't have anybody to take care of as such. But other people, when I tell them, volunteer or do this, I need to also realize that there are people that are taking care of their families as well, and they might not have all that time that I had to do certain things. So their pressures could be, really different.
Different from yours.
Thank you. But I still also believe that a lot of people have also triumphed through this exactly as well. So to go through pressures, I think I'm quite a very a person who has a very good self-awareness, and it keeps growing and growing as well. I try to go through the root reason of things. Why am I behaving like this? Is it because I want to please some? There's that 5 whys in the business school. We have that 5 whys of a customer has a pain point. You have to ask them, why do you want to sleep? Because I'm tired. Why are you tired? Because I was working. Why were you working? Because I needed to pay my bills. Why do you need to pay your bills? How will I survive in this world without a bill? Why can't you survive without a bill? The 5th why, because that's how society is wired. You have to pay bills. It's a cycle of life. You have to pay bills. You have to have a place to sleep. So I always ask myself the 5 whys to why am I feeling this way? Why am I feeling maybe an internal guilt or an external shame? Sometimes it might just be I'm trying to please someone, and that's the thing that is giving me headache and pressure. And I also have accountability partners and people that I speak to as well about you can't live in a silo. That's how I deal with things.
Amazing. Very, very profound thing you shared here about the 5 whys, because sometimes we know the answers to things. It's just that we're not paying attention to ourselves to really get that answer. You're feeling a sense of overwhelm or frustration, like you said, why? So when we start asking ourselves the right questions, we start to get the right answers to the things that we're seeking externally. Sometimes the answers are not even out there. We're everywhere searching for everything, but we've not taken the time to really just sit down and ask ourselves why. Ask ourselves the right questions, like you said. And just sometimes you can just get the answer that you need.
That's very true.
Very profound. So, I have lots of questions for you. Like I told you, we had to squeeze up. You left us and you ran away.
I'm a sponge. I always tell people I am a sponge. Like, I sponge up things. So if you find me in the moment, please just squeeze out the one that I've sponged in.
This is what I want to squeeze now. Aside this, after this interview,
I think I know what you want to say.
That's what you want to say. Okay, so that aside, what do you used to believe, but you fundamentally changed your mind about?
Never say never. Don't feel like, I can't go into explicit details, but don't feel like some certain things in life will not happen to you. And you say, never me. Can never be me. The day that the thing will happen, you say, wow. Is this I? Is this me who standeth here today? It was the devil. But I'm just saying, like, in life a lot of things I think I had a lot of naivety within within those teenage years of mine, and along the way I left my parents' home. I was now thankful for all those principles I had, exactly, because my life was tested. Like, it was tested outside of the home. So I had to stand my ground. So many times, never say never really. But I think when certain things happen to you, you learn to judge less why it happens to other people. But you also know and you can stand your ground on why you do not want to be part of something, or why you don't believe in something in that moment.
Yeah. And also stemming from that, even outside, foundational or principal issues here, also generally in life, I think that people grow and people evolve.
Yeah.
That's why we're humans. We're not animals. And you could change your mind on certain things. But again, you need to ask yourself, what you've changed your mind about, is it ecological? So you're not changing your mind from good to bad, because I can change my mind. When I mean, is it ecological? Is it harmful to yourself? Is it harmful to other people? Is it harmful to the society? If no, you don't owe anybody so much of an excuse or of an explanation in that sense. And then the second point you also said about judging less, understanding that it could be you in that situation of that person. Probably you would even do worse. All right, so let's move over to, I'm also very particular about network. And you've, in the course of this conversation, you've dropped people, like you've mentioned them, and that means you're a people person, even where you are. So let's talk about network. Let's talk about collaboration in basically achieving any goal that you set out to achieve, or even in your becoming process, or even in global positioning. What are the strategies that one can use to build real and genuine network, and how can they leverage this network, and what's the place of collaboration? I know I've asked like 3 in one question. Just pick the ones you can answer.
Okay.
Yes.
Number 3, I love that question. Is loaded. Well, collaboration is the new competition.
Yes.
That's something I've always had in mind. 2 heads can actually be better than 1.
2 good heads.
2 good heads.
Absolutely.
Okay, not 2, because they're
square.
Yeah.
It will not leave you worse than you were.
Thank you. Okay, thank you for the correction. 2 good heads are better than 1.
Yes.
When it comes, so Gracie Hejamazi. So this is the founder of Opportunity Desk, where all of us we go to gather opportunities from. Shout out to her. Grace in 2017 or 18, somewhere in Calabar, we attended an event. And I think she was the one who invited me for the event. But she sat me down. That was the first time I was about to leave Nigeria and go to the abroad. That was the US. And she sat me down and she said, I don't know why she said it, but she just said, when you go to an event, you want to network with people, right? You want everybody to know your face. You want to just say hi, hello, hey, just for the sake of it. There's no real purpose there, because everybody says network, but why are you networking? Do you know why you're networking? Like
selfie.
That's it. Like somebody said, it's not networking, it's not about who you know, but also who knows you.
Absolutely.
So she said to me, once you go to places like this, there's no need to rush and meet everybody. Just pray about it. Like, who should I meet, God? Like, who do I need to be speaking to? And whose help? Who also needs my help?
It's a two-way thing.
Yes, a two-way thing. And then she says, then lead from there. Because networking when they say go and network, there's so much pressure in how do I walk up to somebody? What do I say? There's so much pressure. So when I learned that thing, because she was like, there could be 1 or 2 people at an event stationed for you, not those 100 people that are there. So that's why I always worked with. And when I was at SCOL, which is a SCOL World Forum, just 2 months back, amazing place. Everybody wants to be there. Tickets go for how much? 1,500 or 2,000 or 3,000 pounds. Really big thing I was at. But then I said, you know what? I actually want to genuinely connect with people, learn people's stories, what they're all about. I'm not going to shove funding, give me money, I'm doing this project in their faces. So I went there and I genuinely just sat beside people, asking for real life advice, because I'm at the stage of life where I need advice. So I was asking people for advice. What did you do when you were 20? How did you navigate this stage? Should I do this? Should I do that? That made people connect a whole lot more with me. And I remember this Nigerian man he's quite famous in Nigerian development space. And I saw him and I said, this face looks so familiar. And so we're walking on the road now, and so we just got talking, small talk, and we sat down together. And I remember then I don't remember how it happened, but I think I remember he told me, this is how I recollect my own event, that he told me while we were sitting down that, he wasn't sure if I was coming to fans him or something.
Hey. He's so used to people fans him.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I also was coming to fans him.
Mm-hmm.
But like he just was going with the flow, and I was like, I just came here to just ask questions and have a good time. And we really connected after that. And I realized that we were at the same event 5 years ago or 4 years ago together, but we didn't know we were at the same event. So I think genuinely connecting with people to understand their own stories, what makes them tick, is something that's very important when you're going to network with people. And I also have this trick of if you're somewhere and there's a guest speaker you want to speak to, rather than going to jam the person at the end, it's okay to do that too. But I feel like a very much more impactful way is at the end of the event. Maybe if you're a camera person, take the photo of the person and send it to the person's DM and said, hey, like, I saw you at the event and this is a very nice photo I took of you. This is my gift to you. And I think that puts you at the top of the person's...
Using your skill.
Exactly. And I think that goes generally to in just working together with people. Don't be a leech. Always see what can I also give to people. It's not just about what I can take. And these days I don't even take pictures with people. Like, I just realized I've been in so many places since I came back to Nigeria, and I'm not really taking. When I look at my gallery, I'm like,
yeah, I took picture.
Yeah, she took picture. So for posterity, yes.
I took pictures.
No, but this is you. Like,
Yeah,
I would always be Victoria's friend.
Yeah,
I believe so, right?
Yes, of course, sure.
And then we'll always have photos together from 2017, 18 till date. Yeah. But my main thing is not just to go farms people, but it's just connecting on a very good level with people.
And not just so that you can go out and tell that I met this person, but after the picture and the posting,
what next?
What next? I hear you, and that's really very important. Amazing. So we're coming to the end. I know that I said that there were lots of questions, but let me tell you. Oh, anyways, I respect your time and I know that you have a lot to do. So we're just going to wrap this up because of time. But I still have more questions to ask, and that's about advice. Now, we want to hear from your experience. What advice, or is advice the right word? But do you have for young entrepreneurs or young people or generally entrepreneurs in third world countries like Nigeria on how they can identify and access global opportunities? I mean, from 2017, you have been on several global opportunities, different countries, being on different platforms. What are some of the strategies or key points that you can share that people can actually access these opportunities as well?
Okay. The first thing is I really try to be in contact with whoever the organizers are. For real. I try to be in contact with whoever the organizers of an event, who they are, and I try to stay in touch. And I always have this belief of top of the mind, tip of the tongue. And I'm also very good with my peers as well. Yes, because the people who you are looking up to now, they were once young people, and whoever was their friend from years ago has a better access to them now than you. Yeah, we just know them now. So your peers, like, there's so many people I knew just 4 years ago. 4 years. I didn't know that they were going to be
such big
people. And I'm like, we were just friends, or we're just chilling, we're just living young, maybe not wild, but like quite free from
young,
responsibility.
Wise life.
Yes, young, wise lives. Yes. So I think take your peers seriously. And don't look down on anybody. Oh, there's a story I like telling, that when we were in Unical, and me and my friend Godwin, we were selected as 2018 global teen leaders in New York, and then we went there. There were all these kids, like teenagers like us. I was already 19. We were the oldest teenagers. And I was already almost finishing university. But there were all these people who were like, I'm going to be in MIT, I'm going to be in Harvard, I'm applying to Oxford. I thought, wow, that's very impressive. That's so nice. And then somebody now asked us, so you are here, that means you must be in one of the best universities in your in the country. I looked at Godwin looked at me. Then Godwin was like, yeah, we are in the best university in the States. It wasn't a lie. We were in the best university in the States as of then, University of Calabar. Well, so how do you see the glass? Is it half full or is it half empty? We saw the glass as half full. I don't know where Unica's rank is dope right now.
But in the States, you didn't lie.
We didn't lie. So, what I'm really trying to say is that there were these people who had, a very good advantage growing up, that we did not really have that leverage growing up. But it doesn't mean that in a lot of things in life, you will not catch up with people and things would not happen to you to actually change the trajectory of your life. So it's good that when you're thinking, you try to always see the glass as half full. A lot of things will try to show you shaggy. A lot of things will try to just kill your vibe, kill everything. But if you can really maintain a positive outlook, also quite realistic outlook, but it's not you having false optimism, but just balance it very well. Read a lot of books. I read so many books. I was a consumer of books and I still am a consumer of books. I read so many books that they informed how I thought, how I looked at life. A book is like someone's
compressed experience,
exactly,
knowledge.
Thank you. For like 40 years they've gone through life, or 50 years, and I'm coming to read it in 5 hours or in 2 days. So that's why books are so important. They push you to other worlds as well. And I think another advice is always learn to ask questions. Ask as much questions as possible. Nigerians don't like to be asked questions. I don't think, maybe this is a generalization, but a good number of people don't like to be held accountable or to answer so many questions. But please don't let that deter you. Ask as many questions as possible, whether questions for yourself, whether you don't understand something. Especially when you don't understand something, try not to assume. Just ask. I remember that when I started my masters, in the UK, one of the very first things I took advantage of was asking questions. Is it mumu? Is it good? Is it bad? I was asking.
You're the one that is saying,
exactly.
It.
Exactly.
Right.
So I took the opportunity to ask all the questions in this life that I felt like I was afraid to ask some of my lecturers, because back then there were just a few lecturers that would answer us properly in class, while some they would throw back the question to us.
Conditioning in this Nigeria.
But I was just very happy to ask a lot of questions. So I'll say the same thing. Ask as much questions as you can.
Amazing. So what resources or platforms can they leverage to access this global opportunities?
Okay, my go-to number one is also Opportunity Desk, but the second place is also LinkedIn. There are certain people that you would follow on LinkedIn. Like Victoria too, she's always sharing a lot of important things on all her platforms. So if you follow her, you even see more people to follow from her. You also see more opportunities to follow from her. So just find these people, find who they interact with the most as well. And you will notice there's a pattern of who they interact with. And those people they interact with, or those pages that they interact with, would keep also posting opportunities. And once you get into any network, like let's say once you get into a fellowship or something like that, try to keep in touch with the group chats, try to keep in touch with those people there, because they'll keep sharing opportunities. And I remember that I attended YPB, Young Professionals Bootcamp.
By the Covenant Nation as well.
Exactly. They're always sharing a lot of opportunities on that group chat. And I know that I made a lot of friends that I also kept in touch with at YPB. And if you're in the creative space or another kind of space that is not generally like self-development, there are other Facebook groups, places that you can be at.
Just join communities.
Yes, just join communities, be active, and people share advice, people share resources there. That way you also get tips from people.
Amazing. So what should we expect? I know that, like you say, you don't know the end, but you're just a moving train. But are there any projects or anything we should be looking forward to? Maybe Blank's paper, or do you have any other brainchild coming up that we should also anticipate? Please do well to share with us. We'll be the first partakers.
Okay. So what I would say is that keep your eyes peeled for more.
Yes.
So running BlankPaperz just opened my eyes up to a lot of problems and issues people had. And that was why I started GC Fund in 2021. And the GC Fund is this fund that finds either young people, mostly young people, and you ask about collaboration. I realized that there are a lot of things I can't do on my own.
Yes.
So when I find somebody else who is doing that thing,
just support.
Yeah, I just support. So that's how GC Fund came about. Me understanding the kind of problems that my community at BlankPaperz were facing, but me also knowing that multiple organizations in Nigeria could support. Either they were sending children to school, or they had events for young creatives, or they were supporting they're giving education to people in internally displaced people's camps, IDPs in northern Nigeria. So I would just reach out to these people, say, hey, I see you have an event, or I see you have a program.
Yours, I think that's one thing young people also need to learn, that we don't need to be the pioneers of these things. You can actually support existing organizations or just collaborate with someone else.
Exactly. So that's what I did with GC Fund. We manage the funds, and then they give us the impact report. So I would say that I've learned so much from that, and I'm currently working on something right now, but it's under the covers. So just keep your eyes peeled. Yes.
Okay, so while we wrap this up, any final words for us?
I'm excited to be on Voices with
Grateful
Victoria
for having you here.
Thank you.
Any final words for our listeners? What's their take-home point?
Always remember to shoot your shot, and always act like what you want to be worth. Wow. That's what I would say. I remember that one of my pastors in Calabar, Pastor Tony, City Church Calabar, he would say, you can enter Watts Market, buy bend down trouser, buy your t-shirt, or your shirt, starch it, iron it. You don't have the money yet to go and buy the tuxedo or the suit, but just iron that one. Yes, just look good, act like how you want to be treated, and just use the resources available to get exactly. So that's what I would say. Use the resources available. Don't fake your numbers. Don't fake things. Numbers for like the impact world. Don't fake your numbers. Just keep being authentic and show a real curiosity to learn. People love people who are curious and show
real.
Yes. That's my advice.
Amazing. Thank you so much. It's been such an amazing time. I've learned a whole lot. This is one interview that I want to go over and read and listen to again, because I know there's something about listening to people like you. In what you're saying, we sort of like hear other things, because I hear there are lots of undertones that we could get from as well in what you've shared. So thank you for joining us today on Voices with Victoria. I have my impeccable, amazing superstar guest, Mirabelle Morah. Please do not forget to follow her on Instagram. I don't know if she's active on Facebook, but yeah, sometimes I think. Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter at Mirabelle Morah. Don't forget to follow us as well at Voices with Victoria or at Victoria Undu. Subscribe, like, how did they say it? Share. Let's do it together. Subscribe, like, share. Or how they do it. Yeah. So until next time, do have a wonderful time. Bye for now.
Bye.
Thanks for watching Voices with Victoria. Please like, leave a comment, subscribe, and share. Cheers!